So this is going to be a deep dive into NetDocuments versioning. I'm not clever enough to come up with this on my own. One of my clients asked me to do a presentation to his firm. They're like, "Can you just go over versioning and make it an hour?" And I'm like, "How do we do that?" And then we went into it. I was like, "Oh yeah, this is going to be an hour webinar because we're just going to hit all the different aspects of versioning." So let's just see here. Perfect. So let's just do a couple of things, which we always do: NetDocs updates, Optable updates, and NetDocs tips. So I always just want to check to see where we are at NetDocuments. How do we find any NetDocs updates? We'll just Google NetDocuments updates. Let's see if there's anything new here. 2025 web refreshes. So no, this has not been updated since our last release, July 7th. There's going to be some bug fixes. That's about it. On the Optable updates, let's look at two things. First off, webinars. So this is mastering versions in NetDocs, which we're going to go over all over versionings. And I know there might have been some confusion with the email. We will be going next, and I'll go through and clean up the emails if there's an issue. Next Wednesday, we're going to be doing NetDocs AI Assistant. AI Assistant is an add-on product. So I just want to let you know, I'm not trying to sell you anything. It's a NetDocs feature that some of you have and some of you don't. Everyone can take care of versioning, because that's going to cover everything. And then we got an office hours July 16th. That's Ask Me Any Question About NetDocs. And we'll end with August 6th, a webinar on collab spaces, where I'll just go over collab spaces. New articles here, couple things. These are just questions that we get, so these are fairly new. How to organize items in summary view. So I've gotten some questions on workspaces. How to locate and manage your NetDocs Echo folder, and how to create a report of your search results in NetDocs. 3 brand new articles in the NetDocs tips section. All right, let's get into versioning. All right, so here is what we're going to talk about today. So I'm just going to kind of go through everything that's here, not in this order. All right, but this is just my little checklist to make sure I covered everything. And like I said, I had no problem coming up with an hour. So the first thing I want to do in versioning is go back and look at settings real quick. These are cabinet level settings. Okay, so you have to be a cabinet administrator to see them. But what we're going to do is where it says Hi Wayne in the top right corner, come over to admin, and we're going to open up the demo cabinet to look at our version settings. All right, now this is not a key to go in and start monkeying around in your NetDocs cabinet, because this will affect everyone. I want you to be aware of the settings relating to versioning. All right, so let's come down here, and there is a section in the cabinet all about versioning. All right, and let's go over these things. So first one, use full version numbers. This is what most of you have selected. So when you have a document, it's version 1, it's version 2, version 3, etc. I don't know, I can't remember how many years ago, maybe 8 years ago, NetDocs allowed subversioning as well. I have subversioning turned on, so you will see the effect. So not only do I have version 2, 3, and 4, I have version 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, etc. Okay, prompt for version name, I have that turned on. We'll see it. It'll ask us, not force us, to have a version name through a variety of parts of NetDocs. Warn when version is not the latest. Yeah, I mean, that's just if you have a document with 8 versions, you open up 6, NetDocs just tells you, hey, this is not the latest version. Editable versions. All right, so when Optable sets up NetDocs, we set it up this way. If there's 15 versions of a document, you can only edit the latest version. All right. I think that makes sense. You can change it so you can edit all the versions. And then it's asking you what rights do you have to change a version description and to choose which is the official version. And I have it edit rights. To me, that doesn't really make a thing. So VESA is the NetDoc security. I'm saying you need to have E rights, which pretty much means almost anyone, especially in the client cabinet, can change it. You could change it to admin if you were a little worried about, people changing this stuff. All right. So let's go over versioning and let's come into NetDocuments. So I'm going to come into the regular NetDocs now. All right. I'm going to open up Massive Dynamic, which is always my test matter. I'm going to open up this letter to Craig Bayer. All right. And we're going to create a version. Right now it is version 5. How do I create a version? Save as. All right. And this is going to give us the option of creating version 6. Now, because I have turned on this function right here, this is the subversioning. I get the option of saying, hey, maybe I want to create a subversion. All right, so we'll come over here, we'll say, give it a subversion. All right, so this will become 5.1. Now let's hit save, and we have created 5.1. All right, and if we go into NetDocs, I'm just going to hit refresh so you can see this. The letter to Craig Bayer that is checked out is now V5.1. Because I know a lot of you don't have subversioning on, so I want you to see what that looks like. Now, a couple of other things I just want to point out here. Bottom left-hand corner, you're seeing the version number stamped here, V5.1. In NetDocs, okay, in ND Office, if we come over to the gear and settings, I have my ID stamp just put footer every page. All right. Now, that's great and everything like that. Sometimes people don't like the 5.1 being there. Notice I have a remove version button. Okay. And a lot of you probably don't do that. So if I click on remove version, it left the stamp, but it took the version number out. All right. How am I able to do that? Let's come into Google. Let's Google modify the NetDocs stamp. All right. Not interested. AI mode. All right. So someone at our company created this macro here, okay, that I've added to Word. For the purposes of this webinar, it has a remove version option. That's why I'm bringing it up here. I'm going to paste this in the chat to everyone. I would not go and just send this willy-nilly to everyone. I would test this out if you want to use it first. There's the directions there. But one of the features for this webinar is it does allow you to remove a version of a document. By the way, I'm going to go through and answer the questions in the chat. Let me get through this Word section and then I'll answer questions. All right, so that's what that stamp did. And then let's see if I do a save as here. And then again, I have a full version or subversion. I can hit save. And now we've got V6. So we're seeing how versions work. Now, let's do this again and use the version name. So now we will create version 7. I'm going to call this client changes and description removed last paragraph. And then I'll hit save. So now we have created version 7. Let's go into NetDocs now. Just hit refresh here. And let's look at version 7. All right. So there's client changes, and then there's the comments removed last paragraph. We're seeing a list of all the versions here. We're seeing who worked on the documents, who created the versions. That's all great. I don't know if a lot of you know this. I definitely didn't know this, but there are some column headers here. All right. So we have official version and total versions. So it's telling you what version of the document is the official version. So in this case, it's version 7, and it's telling you how many versions do you have. There's 8 versions total. I know this is confusing here, but official version is 7. Why does it say 8? Because there's a 5 and a 5.1. NetDocs did not forget to count there. Let me come all the way over here to the gear. All right, well, I can just bring here version name and version description. These are column headers that you actually can add, and it is showing you the latest or the most official version. So the document is letter to Craig Bayer. Version 8 or 7's name is client changes, and there is the description. If you come over to the gear, besides official version, total version, you definitely have a version name and a version description that you can add so you can see that information as well. So I want to let you know that that exists. Now, coming back to our letter to Craig Bayer, all right, we have our setup set up so that the latest version is always the official version. When would you want to change that? And let's go with this example here. So if we open up the versions, all right, and let's say, and this is a reason that you do versioning, that version 7 got messed up. All right, so how would I handle that? Well, first off, under the description, I'm going to be like client messed up version 7 going back to version 6. And then I'm going to hit save here. So now I'm just putting a note there. Now the next thing I'm going to do is check the box next to version 6, come up to the 3 dots here, and I'm going to convert version 6 to the official version. Now, when we are opening up this document, when we are sending emails, we are using version 6. Let's see that work in real life. We are going to open up a letter to Craig Bayer. We're opening up version 6. Now, I'm going to do a save as to create a version. I want you to actually see what's happening here. So we do a save as, all right? And this is going to become version 8. So I'm showing, let's just call this webinar. Webinar, all right, save. Let's jump into NetDocs. And this is when people are like, I don't want to use versioning. I'm like, it's flawless. Version 8. Where did version 8 come from? 6. NetDocs always tells you where that version actually came from. All right. At this point, let me stop because the next section I want to talk about is taking this document and saving it as a PDF and the different options. But I know we have some questions in the chat here. If you don't have the AI app, do you still recommending that July 9th webinar? I mean, I don't like these things to be salesy, but I mean, again, if you go to that webinar and you like the AI assistant, I guess maybe I might be selling you to buy it. I get too many people ask me what it is, so it's kind of a demo to show it, and then for people that have it, how to use it. That's the goal of the webinar. I don't know if I'm going to need the full hour for the AI assistant, so I might go to it, just to see it there. But I don't even know how much it costs. Okay, so why keep versions instead of calling it report drafts? So this is ignore the whole thing whatsoever. If you master versions in NetDocs, I believe it's superior than saving all the documents as separate documents. Like it keeps a great chain of custody where you know where everything came from. So that's my advice. I find it so much easier just the way NetDocs shows you who created the version, where it came from, just to work with that. Why create subversions as opposed to new versions of documents? Um, the reason being, and look, lawyers asked for this, right? So that's why NetDocs built it. I know eDocs, iManage, and WorldDocs, the other legal document management software, also have that capability. The I guess when you're making minor changes, that would be subversions, and when you make a major change, that's usually a version. That's usually how it works. Um, if you create a completely new document, can you tell what NetDocs number it was saved? Like, okay, I'm going to answer that question. That's a great question, by the way, Sabrina. It's a great question because I don't really know the answer, but we're going to find out. So let's come over here first off, and we're going to go over one of the biggest questions I get about versioning. How do I take this Word document and make it into a PDF? So first off, we're going to click Save As. We're going to come down to the file type. This is the easy one. And I'm going to change it from a Word document to a PDF. Okay. And now I'm going to hit Save. Word closes, Adobe opens. This is version 9 of the document. You guys are not, and girls, guys and gals, you're not going to like this. And let me explain why. Because look over here now on the very left, letter to Craig Bayer, it's got a PDF here. And the call again is like, where'd my Word document go? All right. Well, here's what happened. NetDocs, the icon, okay, is the latest version. So because you save this here, it is the latest version. Let's bop it back down to version 8. I'm going to convert to official version, and let's do it again. We're going to open up this document. All right. I'm going to do a save as, and this is the trick. This 100% works. Just watch what I'm doing. I want to create this document as a PDF in NetDocs, okay? But I don't want it to be version 10. I still want the actual Word document separately. So I'm going to uncheck Save as a New Version. Everything's profiled here. For the file name, I'm going to click the space bar and then the backspace, because I've now altered the file name, although I haven't really altered it. When you do that, this comes down, and now I can change this to a PDF. It's still profiled the correct way, but now it's going to save that PDF as a separate document in NetDocs, okay? And people are always like, what did you do? You uncheck Save as a New Version, you alter the name of the document, and then you can save it into NetDocs. And if we look now in NetDocs, we're going to have our letter to Craig Bayer, and then we have the PDF document there. Now, let's just come over here to look at this document. And if we come over to More and then History, it does not tell us that where this PDF came from. So to answer your question, no. I mean, if there's nothing in the audit trail, it doesn't tell us where it came from. That was the question. If you do a save as and save it somewhere else, does NetDocs tell you? It doesn't, but this is how I handle it. This letter to Craig Bayer came from this document. I'm going to check both of them off. More, and then I'm going to click Link Documents. You will only see linked documents when you have one or more there. So now when I link them, I then know, oh, where did this PDF come from? It came from this. So we come over here. It's all our good information. Linked document. It shows you where it came from. All right, now this is covered in this article, which how do I save a Word document as a PDF in NetDocs? So let me throw this in the chat for you. Okay. Now, we got some question here. Um, I don't see the NetDocs document ID number or footer in there. If we come over to ND Office, this is on a Windows computer. We come over to the gear and I go to settings and then ID stamp. You can Google how do I turn on my ID stamp, and I have mine set to footer every page. All right. Sorry, I'm going fast. I need to get through all this, pick up my mom on time. So I gotta be very exact here. Let's come back over and let's talk about this again. I'm gonna open up a letter to Craig Bayer. There's a couple of things to go over. I'll date myself now. In my mid 40s, I used Word in the 90s. So I'm used to Word crashing and losing all my work. Like that was a thing. So I have this muscle memory when I'm in Word and I'm working on a document, I'm always hitting save. The problem with that is it takes away our ability to create a version. So before I open up a document that I know will need to have a version, I will come over to more and I am going to choose check out as new version. So before I even open up the document, I know I need to create a new version. I'm going to come over and choose check out as new version. It gives me the ability to create a name. And then, wow, really bad on the spelling here. Then I hit OK, and I can create a version or a subversion there. More, check out as new version will create a version before you ever start working on the document. So that is the way that I handle documents that I know I want a version, but I'm worried I'm going to hit save first. I get them out the correct way. And if you are one of the rare but growing people that uses NetDocs in Word Online, if we right click, open in Word Online, so Word for the web is now what they're calling it, I can open it Word to the web as a new version. Like that is built in there. In this case, I am not using Word on my computer. I'm using Word in the web browser, which just doesn't have all the functionality yet. But it did create a new version. Before it's there, when I'm done with my changes, I will come over and hit close, and the document will get checked back in. Let's hit some other tools in the system itself we have with versioning. So more AutoVersion. Now, you cannot turn this on system wide. I know someone's going to ask that question. You cannot. But if I have a document and I'm worried that one of you is going to mess it up, I'm going to go to more AutoVersion, enable automatic versioning on this document, and I'm going to hit OK. This means anyone except me, when they go edit this document, it automatically creates a new version. Okay, so this is protecting your document from everyone else that works from you. All right, more and then AutoVersion. Now you could select multiple documents and turn them on AutoVersion, but there's no system-wide setting that says version everything I have. All right, lock version. All right, I'm going to come over to lock version and hit lock here. All right, what's that doing? It's one time and one time only. When someone goes to open up this document, they will have to either open it up in read only or create a new version. And that is even including you. So if you lock a document, so we're going to click on open now, open it for viewing only or convert it to version 12 so you can make changes. Now, once we do that, the version is no longer locked. So anytime I come in here, I'll be able to make a change. And then let's see here. More. All right. Upload new version. So if I had this document for some reason downloaded to my computer, okay, let's just say I had it on my, where is this? This is in my downloads folder. I could come over to more and I could choose upload new version. Oh, let me just, it's not checked out, is it? Oh, yeah, it is. That's good. NetDocs is doing what it's supposed to. You got to have the document checked in. All right. Now, more. Oh, great. I'm opening it up again. Let's just choose this one. More. And then I'm going to choose upload new version. I'm going to browse to my downloads folder, choose a letter to Craig Bayer. I'll just put from desktop. All right. The other thing, and let me just close this because this is my preferred method if I have stuff like that, is come over here. Totally works here. And we're going to go with our little drag and drop. If we drop onto the document itself, you are creating a version. Be careful about this. We're not uploading this document to a brand new document. We want it to be a version of that. So we drag the document on our computer over. The more likely way that you will be doing this is in Outlook. You sent something outside of the firm, it got sent back to you. This is where I'm using this. So I'm going to drag this over transaction agreement and call this client changes. All right. So that's, how I actually conversion something from email. The last thing I want to go over here before we come back to Word is more. And then let's come over to deliver a secured link. So this is similar to a product many of you use called ShareFile. I have a whole bunch of documents. I want to email them outside of the firm, but I'm worried they're too big to go through email, or I'm worried that they're sensitive and I want to put a password on there. We have a question we're asking here. When you send a secure link, do you want it to be the version number or the official version? Okay. And I'm going to hit continue here. Now, why would you want to do that? This document is version 3. Okay. If you move it to this option, so let's say we send this to Sarah. Sarah is on vacation because the 4th of July is coming up, and Sarah doesn't get back to the office on Monday. Okay. Should Sarah be opening up version 3? Or maybe it's now version 7 is the latest version. Should she be opening up version 3, the version when you sent it, or should she be opening up version 7? That's why we have this option here. The other option we have is lock number before sending. So this especially makes sense if you're sending Sarah version 3. If you check this option here, we know we sent Sarah version 3, and we're basically saying now version 3 can never be edited. So the version 3 we have in our system is the one that Sarah will download, even though when we go back to it, it might be version 8 now. We could open up version 3 and see those changes. The other option here, and this one is a weird one, but I think it falls into versioning, is deliver secured link. Has anyone ever sent this to someone by mistake? If we go into we open up the versioning number, I can come over here and there is a revoke link delivery. This is going to kill any links to this document. It's going to do that by locking the document and forcing a new version to be created. So there's no more deliver a secured link anymore. So if you accidentally deliver a secured link to someone, there is a functionality in the versioning that will let you revoke the link. So it does not actually work anymore. When they click on the link, it won't open. All right. So let's come back to Word. Let's open up our letter to Craig Bayer by clicking on it. See, I'm going to say, yeah. open this as a full new version. I should have checked official, but no matter here. One of the things I have to go over here is if we come over to review, we can use the NetDocs link to the word comparison tool. We cannot click compare here. The problem with clicking compare here, it wants to look locally on your computer. So we're going to come over to ND compare. It has the version you have opened. We come down to the box here, and I'm going to compare version 13. So let's say over here, version 8. So come down here. We'll do this to version 3. Okay. And then I'm going to hit open. Now, the one thing you'll notice is that this is messed up here. So I'm going to use the arrows to put it in the correct order. 3 was the original document. 13 is the new one. This is now doing a word comparison. You can use the save as feature to save this into NetDocs. There is also a save as attachment button here. When we click save as attachment, this is going to save the comparison from 3 to 13 in NetDocs. Where? If we jump now back to NetDocs and we come over to the our little button here with our document details under attachments, this check. Let's refresh. Sometimes I've noticed there's a little bug in NetDocs where that happens. All right, we're going to come over to letter to Craig Bayer. We're going to come over here to attachments. There's the comparison. Now, the problem here is it only lets you keep one comparison here. If I do click on it, I can either open up the comparison, or if I click email, it's warning me the document's open. It's going to send me the comparison and the latest version of the document. So I find that's a very, very useful feature there. So now I know this is here's version 11, the official document, and then there is the comparison. So at this point on email, there is something else to talk about here. Okay. We're getting all of this information. How? There is a setting I did not show you. So we got to go back to settings now. In NetDocs, drop down to admin here. So hi, Wayne, and I'm going to come over to admin. Have to be a cabinet administrator. Let's open up our cabinet settings again, and let's look at our email settings. All right. Here it is. Okay. The naming pattern on email attachments. So for mine, I'm saying put the document name. That's a given. Put the document ID. So if you're not seeing the document IDs when you're sending email attachments, here's why. I said put the version number. I could even put version sub number if I'm using those, and then the version name itself. You can add all that information in there when you're using email attachments. Now, the issue here is it's a firm setting. So everyone is going to have these settings here. Firm setting. And if you do this, it's going to affect everyone. What I recommend in that case, if you do that and you don't like the actual version number being in there, there's an edit button where we can go into any email attachment and we definitely can change the name. So if there's like for this document, I don't want the version number, that's how you would set it up. All right. All right. So let's go back. Is there a way to remove lock version from a version after the fact? What is this, stump Craig today? I mean, let's find out. I don't let's come over here. All right. So transaction agreement, the word more, okay? And then we are going to lock version test, okay? And then let's come over to more. And I do not have an unlock version. So the answer is no. And then another question here, going to our column headers, just because I probably wasn't clear about this, I'm going to come all the way over to the right. Now this be hidden, and I'm going to click on the gear here. And this is where I was able to find stuff like version name, version description, but also there's other stuff here as well. So like client matter, client description, all that, basically all stuff there. And if you customize this, it's only customized for you. It's not customized for anyone else. All right. So let's go over what to do if someone, we did what to do if someone alters your document, how to make a prior version the official using version names and descriptions. All right, we got to go. We'll move into email in a second. Adjusting version settings to identify the original version of a document, AutoVersion. All right, so let's come over here and we're going to come over to email now. And I'm going to create a new email. All right, and then how do we add this? We're going to come over to ND attach. And this is where we have our letter to Craig Bayer. All right. And we would always, by default, be sending the official version. That's how NetDocs works. If you come down here, though, you could say, you know what? Send these, I don't know why, but like send these 3 versions. Especially, that's fine. And because I have the version numbers in there, it actually puts them in there. The other way to do that when you're doing emails, ND attach here. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to right click on it, and then I can come over here and choose a different version as well. So this is where now I can get version 4 here. That's fine. It's checked out. So that's really grabbing the attachments. Now the other way, and let's just go over this. We've gone over the drag and drop. So you have this document here, okay, and we went over just dragging it on top of the document in NetDocs. I mean, I find that's the preferred way. However, if I come over, do a save to NetDocs, we can save this as document as well. Now I'm going to come over here, 4936 dash. See, this is why I like to have the version number in there. I'm doing an advanced search. And now when I come over here and hit search, it finds the document. I select it. And now I am saving it as version 5. That's one of the reasons I put my NetDocs IDs on documents is when I send you a document and you send it back, I have my NetDocs ID on there. So I just do that search, find it, and save it as a new version. Pretty effective, okay? And in my mind, I don't care about the NetDocs ID. I don't think it tells anyone anything except that, I'm using a DNS. Other email feature, and this one's a biggie, okay? So in NetDocs, we have 2 ways, and that's, we all know, not true. There's way more, but 2 main ways of saving documents and emails into NetDocs: ND save and ND mail. ND mail is the predictive coding where NetDocs is telling you, hey, here's a document, like here's an email, here's where it should go. ND save, you tell NetDocs where the email should go. ND mail, NetDocs tells you. Let's come over here to the gear. Here are our NetDocs ND mail settings. Why are we looking at this? This is a versioning webinar. There is this feature called attach match. Okay. How does it work? And I think I have an article about it. So, it's easier to go this way. What are we going to do? Google attach match in NetDocs. Yeah. All right. So what is this doing? So we're turning on attachments, right? I send an email to someone. They send it back to me. That email had an attachment on it. NetDocs is like, hey, I know that email had that attachment. I know where that attachment is in NetDocs. So it will automatically version it for you. So when you turn on attach match and you send someone outside of your firm an attachment, when they send it back, NetDocs will say, I know where this is from. Do you want me to save it as a new version? And then you can do that. Again, that is an ND mail setting. Okay. And we're going to turn on attach match. And then the other thing here is only prompt you one time. Don't prompt me every single time I have an attachment. Just going over the questions here. One of them is about, and this is a really good one. There is something about ND sync. Okay. So ND sync is a product. I think I have it here. Yeah, this is ND sync that allows me to synchronize a location in NetDocs with a location on my computer. All right. This is great. And I was talking to a firm today about this. Like, I'm about to get on an airplane and I want to work for 3 hours. I don't know if the Wi-Fi is going to work on the airplane. So I'm going to synchronize this matter. I'm just going to work on it on my computer. I'm flying to Los Angeles. I've got 5 hours. I'll work on the document the whole time. You land at LAX. You connect to the Wi-Fi. What happens if during that 5-hour window, someone at your law firm changed the document as well? When ND Sync turns on, it will notice that document is changed. It's going to warn you and say, hey, while you were gone, Sarah changed this document. So we're going to add your synced document as an unofficial version. And the two of you have got to kind of figure out which one you're going to use there. So ND Sync will unofficially version documents if they've been changed in both places. Let me just go through the chat here. Do I have any other questions about versioning? Or did we hit all the main topics on versioning? About how to make the prior, who knows what the version limit is? Anyone want to guess? I talk about it in all my trainings. Who remembers what I said? And if you went to one of my initial NetDocs trainings, 15? No. It's way bigger. The way that you 99? Nope. All right. I'll stop being cute here. Now, the way you find this, I feel like NetDocs is great about doing this. I'm going to Google NetDocs limits. I've been telling everyone 32,000. So I hope that I'm correct there. Let's find out here. So let's come over here. Version description. It's 1,000 characters. Oh, that's not what I wanted though. I wanted, let's come back up here. Wow. These are all the limits on everything in NetDocs. Document version limit, 32,000. Although it says, however, performance may be reduced the more versions the document has. I mean, I've never seen anything in 1,000. Never seen anything in 1,000. But it would support it. It would support up to 32,000 of versions. All right. Well, for our Canadian friends, happy Canada Day. I think that was yesterday. For our American, happy 4th of July, which is Friday. If you think about any other version question, let me know. You will get a copy of this webinar emailed to you, I think, tomorrow, going over everything that we talked about today, just the video of this. If you think of other topics for webinars that you want me to do, send them to me and we'll do it. Although we're getting pretty booked for the rest of the year, but I've got some good webinars coming up. I would love your feedback on more webinars as well. And thank you all so much for your time today. Have a good one.